So before you listen to this episode, I feel like I need to tell you that throughout this conversation, some very intense topics come up, such as addiction, depression, some self-injurious behaviors, and even suicide. If any of those are triggers for you, I wanted to share that with you before you listened so that you can make your own informed decision on whether or not to proceed. And with that, like always, thanks for listening.
Yes, even though I thought maybe it would be a good idea to jump off this balcony, I didn't actually I wanted all of the pain that I was experiencing to end. And a lot of times that's really when people say, like, I'm feeling like I just want this all to end. They're not necessarily actively saying, I'm going to go, I have a plan and an intent to go on this balcony and do it. It's just, this was another reason I cut myself, because I just wanted all of the pain that I was experiencing to fucking end.
High school matters. Come on, let's talk about it.
Welcome to High School Matters, the podcast dedicated to conversations that I have with my former high school students. My name is Randy Appel, and I've been teaching high school since the year 2000. And this podcast really started because during the COVID pandemic, I had all this free time. So I started to reflect. I started to reflect on my life as a parent, as a teacher, and I started to think, how great would it be if I could reconnect with the students that I lost touch with over the years and kind of catch up, talk about high school, talk about things in high school that actually mattered to them then, but also that still matter to them now. And honestly, this podcast took on a life of its own. My conversation today is with a former student of mine named Jen Halper. To try and summarize Jen's story in an introduction would be a disservice to the complexity of her story. So what I will say is that Jen is extremely special, and some of what we discuss may actually be painful for some to hear. I am personally in awe at how open, honest, and positive Jen is as she articulates some of the most difficult struggles I've heard so far. Jen is yet another shining example that not only do we have to weather many storms throughout high school and life, but sometimes it's those very storms that shape who we are today. This is a truly amazing and inspiring story of strength and resilience. I hope you enjoy this episode of High School Matters. All right. You ready?
I'm so ready.
Are you really?
I was born ready.
You
ready.
were born ready.
Ready for this moment. Exactly.
Ready for this moment.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Are you? So I don't have to ask you if you're excited.
Oh no, I'm pumped.
Why? What? You seem much more excited than most of my people. So tell me.
Well, number one, I think I'm just like a more excited person.
You are.
I tend to be.
Yeah.
I tend to be a little bit more like exaggerated with my emotions. So that too.
Perfect for a podcast.
It's perfect for a podcast.
Okay.
Correct. And I just think it's like really exciting to kind of like go through my story again.
Are you worried at all about telling your story publicly?
Yeah. There's a little bit of fear with that because of the content.
Yeah, your story is not... So let me just build context because, we spoke when I first had this idea to do the podcast. You were one of the people I wanted to talk to. And, I reached out to you really early on, but you live in Buffalo.
Yep. Almost in Canada.
That's like 8 hours drive,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So... and you know how I feel about Zoom. I wouldn't do Zoom.
Yep.
You were like, let's just do Zoom. And
Yes.
I said, no, I'm not doing Zoom. We'll wait till you come in. At some
Totally.
point, you'll come in. And here we are. I'm so happy that you made it.
Me too.
And one of the things when I first start talking to people, they are so excited to tell me stuff that I may or may not have known when we speak initially. And my whole point of my initial conversation is just to tell you this is what I'm doing. Let's find the time to talk.
Absolutely.
But sometimes people are very excited. You were one of those people.
Absolutely. Super pumped.
Super pumped.
Super pumped.
And in your excitement, you revealed some stuff that I did not know.
Yes.
Things I couldn't believe.
Yep.
So you graduated what year?
2007.
2007. So I probably had you the 2005 to 2006 school year.
Yep.
My impression of Jen Halper as a junior in high school is a very put together girl, very confident, and it was very much the opposite of the things you were telling me in that initial conversation where I stopped you. So how does it feel that this teacher had such a wrong impression of who you were?
It's really interesting to me to hear that because I do not think that I came off like confident or even happy.
Oh, really?
Especially during that time in high school.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear that, it blows my mind. To hear it from you, it was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that that's how I came off. I think I put on like a mask of some sort.
So I think this quote-unquote mask that you talk about is something that I always knew that kids were projecting images different than what they were feeling, but this podcast really opened my eyes in a way I never had my eyes open before.
Of course.
So I guess then going back to the first part of my original question, what were you hiding? What was behind the mask of Jen Halper?
Oh my God, I was hiding so many things. I was hiding the fact that like I didn't live, especially at that time, junior year, I didn't live in Great Neck, and I was going to school in Great Neck.
So you were going to school illegally?
Basically, but not.
Okay.
So my parents are divorced.
Okay.
Got divorced when I was 4. We can go through that whole thing if you want. But at that time, I was really unhappy in my house, and I moved from Great Neck to Manhattan to live with my dad.
Okay, so I'm actually going to stop you.
Totally.
Because this is very interesting, obviously, and sad too, but I want to build context. How did we get to that point? So, all right, so you said your parents got divorced at what age?
When I was about 4. They got divorced.
Okay, so
which is super young. I remember very specific memories. So it's interesting because, like, obviously, kids may remember a lot of things, but they, like, remember feelings in their bodies more than they do, like, the actual memory.
Of course.
And obviously, I know this from years of being in therapy, but also being a therapist. Of course, I study trauma, and I know about these things.
Okay, so you were in therapy as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I was in play therapy as a kid, without a doubt.
So your parents were aware that the things that was going on was actually going to negatively impact you.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that they had some level of understanding, although I could be wrong, and they could have been told by the court that my sister and I needed to go to therapy.
Okay,
that I have no idea about,
wow.
but it is very possible.
God.
I know.
The fact that you even mentioned that as like the court said possibly this is so sad. But anyway,
totally.
Yeah.
And it really is. Hopefully we'll get to like, you know, the end as to like what's going on now, and we will.
That's the other thing. Like, we're starting off this conversation in such a sad way, but yet I'm looking at you and you're happy and bubbly and you have the personality I kind of remember in high school, actually. So
which is great.
It's interesting that you were still hiding. I wonder what you're hiding now, but that's another story.
Oh, nothing. Literally everything's an open book here.
Okay, good. So go ahead.
I remember very specific things with my parents. I remember like one specific memory of like my mom and dad screaming at each other, and my sister and I like sitting at the top of our staircase in our Great Neck house and like just trying to listen in on what happens, because of course that happens in like divorced families, and I'm sure it happens in, you know, intact families as well, where kids are like, what are they talking about, you know? But like 2 little kids, I mean, you know, sitting at the top of the stairs like listening to their parents fighting, that was really impressionable to us.
And that was like the only memories you have. My wife and I'm, you know, you're being vulnerable. I'm going to be a little vulnerable myself a little bit. We had an argument. Actually, it was about me spending too much time on the podcast, actually. And it was like my wife was very upset, and I was upset about things, and we talked about it. It was a great conversation, but my son, who's 12, and my daughter, who's 9, my older daughter wasn't around, but they heard us, and they started crying.
Yep.
Because it's so not like us to fight like that.
Totally.
But it's reality. We fought, and it was good that we were able to communicate.
Right.
But I can't imagine kids constantly hearing only fights.
Yep, but that's so true, and I'm really like glad that you were vulnerable in that moment to like mention that, because it's true. You know, in a household where I guess that doesn't go on as often, it's kind of alarming.
Yeah.
You know, to a kid when that happens. In a household where it happens all the time, it would be almost alarming to hear my parents interacting in a positive way, which is so fucked up.
Sad. That is
it's so fucked up. But that's just the reality of like what my household was like.
Okay, that's sad.
It absolutely is, and I think that is part of the reason I was like hiding a lot of stuff. I felt so different in the fact that like I had divorced parents, I had all these friends that had these intact families, and as a kid I looked at that and I was super naive that like anybody else could have had divorced parents. I thought I was the only one.
And you know, I speak to kids with divorced parents, and it's harder in a town like Great Neck, and even because the families are all very tight-knit.
Yes. I remember like specifically bat mitzvah season, 12, 13.
Right.
I would go to bat mitzvahs, and if it was like close friends, obviously my mom would be invited, and I would go to bat mitzvahs with one parent, and everyone would go to bar and bat mitzvahs with 2 parents. And I only had one.
I thought what you were going to say was you remember your own bar mitzvah.
Oh my God.
And that was stressful.
Oh, it was.
But, until you're in a situation, you don't realize, like, the whole bar mitzvah season, that year.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like? Were you embarrassed that you only had one parent there? What was that like?
There's like a mix in me of feeling like I was embarrassed about it, but also it was like so normal for me, but I was still really sad. Sad that like I didn't have my dad there, or like another parent with my mom. Like I even think back to that time and I feel so badly that like my mom went to all of these events alone, and like that breaks my heart. And back then I didn't really think that much about it.
Right.
But as an adult, like over the past 13-ish years, I've really thought about that.
Wow.
And I've been like, wow, that must have been so hard for her too. But as a kid, as a 13-year-old,
Right. You're not thinking about that.
I'm not thinking about that. No.
But let's talk about you. So what was that like?
Well, I'll tell you that my bat mitzvah was a shit show.
Yours was?
A complete shit show.
Why?
The deal kind of was that whoever paid for like the photographer, which would have been, I guess, my grandparents on my mom's side,
Okay.
got to decide like who was in the pictures.
Oh my
And
God.
so I have like, I don't think I've ever seen bat mitzvah pictures of me with my dad and my stepmom, because I don't think that
They existed.
that was allowed. That photo montage.
Of course, yeah.
I don't think I was allowed to include pictures of my dad.
Oh my
and
God.
that became like a huge point of contention. I was such an anxious kid, and like an undiagnosed anxious kid.
So you were always, I mean, we
Always.
don't have to, you were always on
Always,
edge.
Always. Which is very much a reason why I self-medicated and self-harmed.
Yeah, so that's-
and did all these other things in high school.
Yeah, so these are some of the things you kind of like threw out to me, and I want to talk about them, and I want them to come up naturally. So I think you're painting a good picture, or a terrible picture, or a sad picture,
Totally.
but the reality
But
of
it's
who
the
Jen
real-
Halper was,
right, it's the real picture.
you were a very tense upbringing,
Yep.
bar mitzvah year, whatever. Did anything happen up to high school? Because I obviously, this concept of this podcast is that high
course.
school matters, but
Yeah.
clearly for you, a lot before high school matters. Is there anything else that's worthy of talking about before we get to high school?
Well, I think to note is my dad got remarried when I was 7.
Okay, so this is the context that helps. So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your dad, you said, was living in the city?
Yep, my dad was living in Manhattan. So for a little bit during my childhood, he did live in an apartment in Great Neck. I do remember that, and I remember actually meeting my stepmom, soon-to-be stepmom, for the first time in that apartment when I think I was like 5 or 6.
Okay.
So I do remember that, but very soon after that, my dad grew up in Manhattan. And so he just went kind of back to living in there, and he and my stepmom lived there.
Okay.
But they got married when I was 7. I was the flower girl in their wedding. And literally the only thing I remember as a 7-year-old about this wedding, I remember 2 things.
Okay.
One, I had to pee the entire time during the service, and it felt like it was eternity that it went
Okay.
on. For a 7-year-old, it feels like eternity. And number 2, I only threw out like 1 or 2 of my flower petals because I wanted to keep them all for myself.
That's an interesting dynamic. And clearly the relationship between your mom and dad
Terrible.
are terrible.
Also, my mom and my stepmom did not like each other.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of tension there too.
So your dad's now married to
Yep.
this new woman.
Yep.
Your mom not dating? What's the deal?
I remember my mom did date this one guy for quite a long time, and I did not like him. And I vividly remember like telling her how much I didn't like him. He like made me very uncomfortable. I don't know why. He just like gave off this vibe that was super uncomfortable. Yeah. There are very few things I remember about this guy. That he had an indoor pool in his home.
Okay.
So to me, living in my, rented house in Great Neck, that was like super fucking impressive.
Oh.
And he had 2 daughters that were older than my sister and I, and we were always forced to hang out with them.
Well, that's the other thing, that when parents are divorced, it's very hard. And I come from a family that was not divorced.
Yep.
I say to my wife all the time, no matter what you ever do to me, I'm never divorcing you.
Totally.
And really for the kids, like I feel, I'm not criticizing anyone that gets
No,
divorced.
of
I get
course.
that there are reasons, but
Yeah.
in my mind, that's just not something that I can't even imagine a life without my wife and my family as an intact family.
Totally.
Okay, so that's
Absolutely.
there's a podcast that I listen to where this conservative woman talks about when families kind of, the quote unquote blended family. She doesn't say it's a blended family. She says it's a salad family. Because in a salad, unlike a blender, you're putting all these random parts together,
Yes.
but the random parts are staying separated.
Right.
And they may not like being with each other, but yet you're forcing them in this salad bowl together. Yep. And the symbolism is there for me. And it sounds like you definitely didn't have a blended situation. And it sounded like you actually had a salad life.
Yes, absolutely. Back then, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
And that continued. So, like, my mom ended up breaking up with this guy, thank fucking God, because I hated him.
Okay.
And she met my now stepdad when I was, like, 12. I think I was 12 because he was at my bat mitzvah. And they ended up getting married when I was 15. But my stepdad has 3 sons. And so it was very much like this salad family because it was like it was super awkward.
So does that analogy mean something to you?
Yes. Back then, that is absolutely how it felt, right? All of the pieces were still intact in their like normal form.
Right.
But thrown in like this bowl of life together and like tossed together to be like try and blend with each other. But it's like literally impossible at that time.
Okay.
And the only reason it really felt impossible is because my parents had such a tense divorce.
Okay.
And the other thing that I think is like really important to note is obviously I have a sister.
Oh,
so
right.
My mom and my dad have the 2 of us together. And when they got divorced, my dad like didn't and I feel badly. I really don't want to shit on my dad, but like back then shit was real bad.
Okay.
He did not like fight for custody for us.
Oh.
And so my mom had full custody of us. It wasn't even joint, and he had to pay child support, and he didn't really love to pay child support, and that was the thing that was like a point of contention that I heard about all the fucking time as a kid about how my dad didn't pay child support.
And you're now involved in the middle of it.
Exactly. And that was always really troubling for me because I, in my adult mind, I'm like, why would I need to know that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Why would I need to know that
piece
of information? Back then, I'm not going to fault my mom for anything because she worked her fucking ass off to support my sister and I in that Great Neck household. But it was like really difficult because my dad would try and come see us for Wednesday night.
Yeah, what was the arrangement?
Yeah, so the arrangement, which tends to be like the arrangement that happens in divorces, is one parent has like every other weekends and Wednesday night dinners. My dad lived in Manhattan, obviously.
Oh,
and after a period of time, my dad didn't really want to travel out to Long Island for dinner on Wednesday nights. And he didn't really want to come out and get my sister and I to bring us into the city to stay at his apartment.
Wow.
And so there would be weeks that we didn't see him. And he would ask my sister and I to get on the train to go into Manhattan see him. And sure, I guess like we were like of age, I don't know, is like 13 of age to go on the Long Island Railroad by yourself? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, wow.
But
you definitely didn't want to leave on a Wednesday night to go into the city, then to come back on your own.
No way.
So that sounds like a terrible situation.
Yeah, it certainly was not great, but that whole like salad thing is like very much how it felt back then.
Okay.
Today, totally different. Today, I really feel like it's like a fucking blender. Like literally, my parents wish each other happy birthdays now. Like,
oh my God.
My mom and my dad, which is like incredible for people who like know my family situation. That's like bananas.
Okay, all right, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Another thing that was like in particular that has always stood out to me was like going to summer camp. And I went to sleepaway camp, and I'm not going to say what sleepaway camp it was because I definitely started drinking and doing drugs there. But visiting day at camp was always this one specific day, right? And everyone's parents and grandparents and siblings, whatever.
It's the greatest day of the year for a parent.
For a parent, right.
And for the kids in a way.
For me, I always had 2 visiting days. And so again, it was like this feeling of I'm different than everyone else because I had these 2
even at the
sleepaway camp like I had 2 visiting days. The first one, the main one, was always my mom and my grandparents, and maybe if my sister was around she would come too.
Okay.
And then when everyone else was like done with visiting day, the next day my dad and my stepmom would be allowed to come up, and then I'd have to like miss certain things because I would like go with them and do it. It was just another reason I felt so different.
Okay. I feel sad for you because I know camp. I work at a camp now, so my kids could go free.
Oh, so smart.
Because camp is very expensive.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and the fact that it's expensive is the part that makes me, there's a privilege associated with going to camp. So could you balance that, like, yes, I was privileged. I got to go to sleepaway camp, which is very expensive, but yet I felt sad at this privilege. Like, is that something that speaks to you?
Absolutely. And I will absolutely admit that being able and having the opportunity to go away to sleepaway camp absolutely is a privilege. And I know it
Right.
sounds like super privileged to say I had these 2 visiting days and blah, blah, blah. But I also want to say that, like, my family, my mom's,
Yeah.
really just my mom, I'm going to leave, like, everyone else out of it. My mom's financial situation was such that I think my grandparents paid for me to go to sleepaway camp. My mom couldn't afford it.
Did that play a role? Because you mentioned it earlier about, like, you lived in a small house.
Yep.
So it wasn't just that you were this kid from a divorced family, but you were also, you didn't fit into Great Neck also because of the money?
Right. I was not that typical Great Neck person.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because my mom did not have a ton of money. We lived in an area of Great Neck that wasn't Kings Point. Our house was rented. I used to be, like, so embarrassed about having friends over my house because I just felt like nothing that I had would ever live up to what they had. Right? Like, the only time I was super pumped to have people over my house was my 5th grade graduation present was a trampoline. And that was, like, the thing that I was like, okay, people can come over, but, like, maybe we'll just stay outside.
Oh, so you really felt
So different.
and embarrassed.
Very.
Even. I think we have a good picture of who you were going into high school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you mentioned drugs and you mentioned a lot of other things that I know are going to come up.
Yep.
So let's from wherever you want to take it, let's go into high school.
So let's go into high school. Let's really start with 8th grade summer or something. I think that was the first summer with my camp friends that I first smoked weed. That was, like, really what kind of opened up this feeling of, oh my God, wow, there's this thing that I can use that makes me feel not how I've been feeling typically.
Oh, so
right?
it was
like,
totally an escape thing for you.
absolutely, it was an escape, and it was for sure a self-medication. And it was just like this feeling of, like, oh, I don't, like, have a ton of anxiety. I don't, like, feel as depressed. Like, I think it was just, like, this weird escape that I felt like, okay, something finally to take away how I've been feeling. And 9th grade was when I first, like, learned about self-injury. So, like, cutting.
And you did that?
Yep. At that time, I was not only, like, super, super anxious, but I had fallen into, like, a continued depression that ended up becoming, like, very severe depression. And I learned about cutting, and cutting is not typically a form of, like, suicide attempt. A lot of people, like, hear about cutting and self-injury and immediately think, oh my God, you're trying to do this, right? But that's actually not what it is. They're really considered, like, non-suicidal self-injury, right? So the reason that a lot of people cut or self-harm, they might burn themselves, pull their hair, something like that, is really to release either a feeling, right? When you bleed, you release endorphins. But also, some people, when you're in a depression and you feel super numb, pain, physical pain, is something else that you can feel.
Oh, it's another feeling.
Yep.
So is that... What kind of cutting did you do?
I would cut on my arms and my wrists.
Oh, really?
On
You
my
said you
left hand.
learned about cutting. What does that mean?
I learned it actually from someone who was, like, a year older than me. And she was also in, like, a not so great place in her life, and she did it. And this is why, like, I really think a lot back on high school and how, like, other people influence each other.
Yeah.
And that's
big.
not just Great Neck. That's,
No,
like,
that's
in general,
life.
obviously.
That's life,
Life. Like, an older person will typically influence a younger person. And this person certainly influenced me in a way. Not that this person was like, here, you try. But
No,
I was
of
like,
course.
oh, you do this. That's cool. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll try this. And that's how that started. It got very bad junior year and senior year of high school.
When I knew you.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I would wearing, like, a shit ton of bracelets at that time, I feel like was, like, a thing that people did.
Oh, it was covering it.
Yeah, it was covering it. It's very possible I may have, like, worn long sleeves at some point to like hide it. I ended up getting tattoos over it so that I
really?
don't see them anymore. Yeah.
Oh, right. After
After I stopped doing that. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there were a lot of things that I was doing to, like, try and cover that up. But, like, that was a really big part. I did it a lot at camp.
Would you use a knife?
No,
Scissor? Or?
No, like a scissor or, like, something, like, not, like, super, super sharp.
Right. So when you think about you as a 10th grader or 11th grader taking a scissor and physically slicing part of your skin, how does that make you feel now?
I mean, it's sad. It's really sad, but I was also, like, trying to get some sort of need met, right? Like, some sort of, like, I'm trying to take out whatever emotion I have. A lot of it was, in addition to depression, was a lot of anger. I was, like, a super angry young woman because of all of the shit that was going on in my life. It was like constant chaos, it felt like. I felt like I could not focus at all on school. That was literally not at all something I was concerned about.
School seems so insignificant.
So insignificant at that point, you know? And yet, because Great Neck is such a good high school, it's like it's so pushed that academics are like the be-all, end-all. And that for me was really, really hard.
So it's another way you didn't fit in. You probably didn't do well in school.
I didn't do well in high school at all. I always felt super dumb. I thought I was like so stupid.
Really?
I was so incapable.
But why? You knew that it wasn't about...
There's a very specific memory that I have of 5th grade. There was a math problem, and I know for a fact you're 1,000% going to make fun of me, so hold back your sarcasm, okay? But I raised my hand in the class to answer this math problem, and I still remember it, which is why this was such an impressionable moment for me.
Wait, so you're taking me back to a moment in 5th grade.
5th grade. I like vividly remember
Okay, what was the question?
Like where I was sitting in my desk in the classroom.
Oh my God.
That's how vivid that memory is for me.
Let's hear it.
The question was, what is 5 times 0? And I raised my hand, and I was like super proud to raise my hand, right? And I said 5. And the whole class laughed. And yes, I will answer it for you. It's 0 because anything times 0 is 0. Okay, so hold back your
it's
sarcasm.
Funny. Had this been the first 5 minutes of this conversation, I probably would have made fun of you.
100%. I know you would have.
But but that on top of everything you said, it's not funny.
Totally.
It's another thing
to
add to stuff that you don't need to feel.
Absolutely.
So
and that moment, I will tell you, I thought to myself, I am never raising my hand and answering a question ever again. And I really do want to say that, of course, kids get answers wrong in classrooms, right? This isn't like a fucking catastrophic moment for a lot of people. But for me, because there was so much going on in my home and in my environment, any additional thing just felt like another fucking blow. And it was really hard. And so that became one of like the defining moments for me. So
when you right now, we're sitting here in 2021.
Yeah.
You still, how old are you?
31.
You're a 31-year-old woman. You still, when you think back to that moment, does that make you sad?
Yeah. I mean, it gives me like a small pit in my stomach.
Oh my God,
like I've literally done trauma work on that specific image and memory. I have done that.
God, that's unbelievable.
Absolutely. But again, it's not the typical reaction for people, but based on what I was experiencing in my home and in my family and like in my feelings of being different in Great Neck, it was just another added thing that made me feel so different and stupid. And that was where I developed this like real true belief that I am dumb and incapable of doing anything academically.
And that carried through high school.
That carried through high school and through my like one semester in college before I came home.
Okay, we'll get to that. All right, so
Yep.
The thing I can't stop thinking about as a teacher, and this is not my first conversation.
Of course.
You're not my first person telling me terrible stories of things they had to think about, but you're another person telling me about these things. And I look out into my classroom, I see a kid looking out the window every so often, and I think to myself, come on, let's go. But no, I have no idea what's going on in that kid's head. And I hope that with all these things, that there is a moment that these kids feel like, at least in my class, they could forget about all these other things. So on one side, I'm like, wow, I wish I knew everything about every kid in my class. But of course I can. So I just, it's just, I don't know. It's making me feel weird. But okay, anyway.
But you know what I really hope? I really hope that people listen. And I know people are listening to this podcast for sure because it's kick-ass. But it really like opens up like a conversation about it normalizes that not that my situation is super typical, but it normalizes these are the things that go on in high school and middle school and elementary school. These are the things that happen.
Well, here's why your situation is typical. You felt different.
Yes.
There's so many reasons why kids feel different, feel pressured, feel dumb.
Yep.
You have a very extreme version of that, but I hope someone listens to this and is like, maybe I'm not so different, as different as I think.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that the...
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons, like, yes, it makes me a little anxious to tell my story, of course.
Yeah.
However, the thing that I really like to think about, and of course there's more to my story that we'll get to, but the thing that I really try to think about is me sharing my story gives someone else the opportunity to not necessarily feel alone, you know? And that is the bottom line of like, if I had gone through all of the shit I went through for this moment to be able to like, I mean, obviously it's shaped my career, right? If I can go through all of that stuff to get to this moment to help someone else because they won't feel alone, then it was all freaking worth it.
Okay.
You know?
No, that's a great message as someone who is able to look back and reflect and show the positive of a terrible situation.
Absolutely.
All right, so you're a junior in high school now.
Yep.
You're cutting yourself.
Yep.
You're smoking weed.
And
you're drinking.
Yep.
Anything else?
Let me go back. Sophomore year.
Okay.
3 substantial things happened. 1, my mom got married to my stepdad.
Okay.
Got trashed at their wedding. Number 2, my sister went off to college. Number 3, my dad and my stepmom gave birth to my little brother. And so
oh my God.
Those 3 events like made me really feel like anything going on with me had to be put on the back burner and was not important at all. And so I felt really out of control, especially at that time, because I felt like nothing I did mattered.
Oh, you were insignificant.
Completely.
Wow.
That is how I felt. And granted, I don't think that my mom did anything to make me feel that way. I don't think my dad did anything. My sister obviously is going off to college. But the way that I interpreted all of that is like, I'm here alone with nothing.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, of course, at sophomore year of high school, of course I didn't give a shit about my academics.
Right.
You know? I was like, how do I just like feel significant?
So you're living in your house.
Yep.
Your sister's away.
Yep.
And now you're alone in that house.
Yep.
Did you like your stepdad?
When I first met him, yes. And I really do want to preface this with anything that I say about like my parents was how I felt back then. Yes. None of that is reflective of now.
Right.
So
no, that's important to say, yeah. And
because it's the truth.
Because now everything's good.
Everything is beautiful.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But back then, when I first met my stepdad, when he was just dating my mom, I liked him a little bit.
Okay.
Then it like got real, right? And they were going to get married. And I wasn't so sure if I really liked him, right? Like I had grown up in this household of just 3 girls. You know, the ability to like walk around with a towel on, or the ability to like do whatever you want. And like now there was like this strange man in my house. And I didn't really love that. Yeah. That's the truth. And when they got married, I just felt again like another change, another major change. And I like really wasn't so happy about it.
Yeah, no, it just makes me think like I have mixed emotions about this whole thing, and I joke with I tell my friends this all the time, and they yell at me. I'm like, if I died, you better make sure Beth, my wife, doesn't bring another man in my house when my kids are in that house. I say this because I genuinely feel that way. Totally. And you know, and the reason I joke about the death, you know, of me, but my wife's mom died when she was a junior in high school. When my wife was a junior in high school, so this is something that not only we think about because it's like a terrible hypothetical, but she lived with that. Yeah. And you know, and I say, if God forbid something ever happened to her, I would never bring a woman into my house for the same reason. Right. Do you wish now, looking back, that your mom had that same view?
No. Not at all. No, absolutely not. No. I mean, I wish that all of the chaos that like I caused didn't happen, but I think that just thinking back on, of course, I was like a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl who's not really thinking too much, just like bat mitzvah stuff, about how my mom feels being alone, right? Going to temple alone, going to other events alone. So thinking back now, no, I'm thrilled that she had someone with her. But at that time, I didn't get it. I was selfish and self-centered like most 15-year-olds are. And I didn't see that. And I was like, I'm supposed to be the important one here. Not this guy.
Yeah, but you are. That's the thing. I think of my kids, and I don't know. I don't want to make this about that, but I just
no. But it's true.
There's a part of me that I don't know. It's a terrible judgmental thing. I'm not trying to be judgmental. You understand?
Of course not. I understand.
I just see the impact.
But the flip side of this was, you know, my dad wasn't really giving my mom too much money to support my sister and I. My
so
stepdad is a very successful attorney.
Yeah.
He was really helpful in like even helping fix up our house that was rented and fucking falling apart all the time. Like he helped to like seal things in the ceiling that like we couldn't do, and like those things that my mom had to deal with alone.
Yeah.
Financially, we couldn't do those things, and thank God.
I feel weird even saying what I just said, but I'm curious your perspective as someone who was clearly impacted by that decision by your mom. I wondered how you feel, and you.
If you had asked me in sophomore year or junior year, I would have been like, "Fuck that guy," you know. But now, thinking as an adult, right? I'm so grateful that she had him. Okay. You know.
So this happens. So now your sister goes away, which I think is very significant. That you were alone in that house. Yes. Honestly.
So this whole thing played out as I was really unhappy in my Great Neck house with my mom and my stepdad, and I just wanted to like get out. And so I had been talking to my dad about potentially moving into the city with him. But of course, there's logistical issues with that if I'm still going to school on Long Island. And so the middle to end of junior year and then all of senior year, I ended up moving out of my mom's house in Great Neck and living with my dad and my stepmom in Manhattan. And my little brother, because he was born then.
By choice?
By choice slash. That's why I say I moved out / got kicked out. Oh. Because initially I chose to move out.
You wanted to move out.
I wanted to move out. I wanted to just be in a different environment. And I feel terribly about that because of the way like my dad treated my mom, that like how dare I then go move into the city. I still do feel like a slight amount of guilt about that. But
you do?
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. One specific incident happened that really will like sum this all up. I had moved out. Wasn't really talking to my mom pretty much at all. Moved into the city with my dad. My mom and I were going to family therapy. My dad actually might have been going too.
Okay.
And it was a change of season, and I didn't have like other things from my Great Neck house at the Manhattan apartment.
Okay.
And I was going to come home to the house. We weren't really talking, my mom and I. I was going to come home to the house, get the stuff I needed.
Oh, okay.
She was not going to talk to me. And so the deal was we're going to family therapy in like a day or two from this moment that I'm going to go pick up my stuff. Don't talk to her.
Oh, wait for the therapy.
Wait for therapy.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's fair.
I thought it was fair. And obviously somebody else didn't. And I get home. My dad couldn't drive me. So my stepmom drove me from the city with my little brother. She drove me.
Did you like your stepmom?
At that time, yes.
Okay.
The pattern with my stepmom was I liked her, then I didn't, then I loved her, then I didn't, and now we're totally fine.
Okay.
There have been a lot of ups and downs.
But at that moment, at that time, you liked your stepmom.
I loved her.
Okay.
I actually ended up like calling her mom for a little bit.
Oh my God.
And I called my mom and every other person on my mom's side of the family by their first name.
Wow.
Yeah. People were literally listed in my cell phone as do not answer whatever their name is.
Oh my God.
It was really bad on that side of the family.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot.
The layers keep adding and adding.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I go to the house. I open the door with my own key that I still had. Open the door like legally. Go up to my room. Close my door and lock it. But in that old house, we had locks on our doors that you could use a penny to like open it and unlock it, which I used to do to my sister all the time and then take her clothes.
Okay.
She hated me for it. So karma came back around and I went up to my room, locked the door, and my mom came upstairs and like knocked on the door. And I didn't answer. I didn't say anything, I don't think. And then she like knocked again, and then she took a coin and she opened up the lock, and I flipped my shit. Flipped my shit. I just wanted to be left alone. I was already super tense about even being there by myself.
Oh, right.
And like my stepdad was home, and my mom opened the door, and I went off on her. Screamed, cursed, whatever it was. And my stepdad like bolted up the stairs, and it just like, it was a huge physical altercation that occurred between me and my stepdad. I like really don't want to like get into all of that, but it was not great at all.
But you don't want to talk about it?
Not really.
Done. All right, no, that's fair. That's fine. But it sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was really,
a bad situation.
It was a really bad situation, and I was super heightened as well, obviously.
Yeah.
And
you're also a 15-year-old kid.
Correct. I think I was 16 at that point, but still.
Doesn't make it any more less significant.
Okay. Right. But the significance of that situation was, and what really solidified, like, I'm getting the fuck out of this place, was my stepdad had said to my mom, get the phone, I'm calling the police. And my mom walked into my room to get, like, the house phone I had in there and called the police on me. And
you?
Yes. And I was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to call the police on you. Like, it was such a bad situation. And I felt so betrayed that my mom did that.
It was stuck up for your stepdad instead of you when there was a physical altercation. Okay.
Yes, and said, like, call the police on me.
That is...
Yep.
Yeah,
it was
I don't
really,
blame
really
you.
bad. It was really bad. And I got back into the car with my stepmom, and we just drove off. And right as we were, like, driving off, I, like, saw that there were, like, police cars coming to our house. God. It was such a shit show.
What was that car ride like? Were you crying?
Oh my God, yeah. I was definitely
emotion.
crying. I was, like, in pain from, like, what happened.
Oh,
and
God.
Yeah, it was not good. And I got back into the city with my stepmom and my little brother. And I remember we went to the apartment, and then I was like, can we just go for a walk? And we lived on the Upper East Side. And so we went for a walk, and we walked by, like, Dylan's Candy Bar on, like, 57th and 3rd, whatever. And I was, like, trying to just, like, have a clear moment. And we get back to my apartment building. Not mine, their apartment building.
Okay.
And right in the lobby, I saw a shit ton of boxes and my bat mitzvah sign-in board. And I was like, that looks familiar, and I didn't bring that here. So I guess from that moment, my mom and stepdad packed all my shit up, put it in boxes, drove it into the city, and, like, dumped it in the lobby.
Oh, so
including my bat mitzvah sign-in board, which was very unnecessary. I don't know why they gave me
symbolic.
That. Yeah, very much. That's how I got kicked out.
So so now you're living in the city with your dad.
Yep.
But it's like you're not welcome in your actual Great Neck home.
Basically.
Wow.
Basically.
But they still had this Great Neck home.
At that time, they did. And then at some point, when I was a senior and still living with my dad, I guess they moved out of Great Neck.
Oh, so that's what you mean when you...
Yes.
Wait, so you actually were going to school illegally?
No, because I know you're trying to get the Great Neck Police Department.
Listen, I owe it to the taxpayers of Great Neck. There's probably something there. The back taxes.
No. I literally learned this. So I thought, so the answer to your question is yes and no.
Okay.
And yes being, I didn't know that they moved out of Great Neck until, like, some moment in time. I don't even know who told me that they moved. But my mom and stepdad ended up renting an apartment in Great Neck and were paying taxes.
Oh, just so you can go to school legally?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Which I only found out about, like, maybe 6 years ago.
There's a lot there, actually.
A lot there.
So here's the thing. Here's what's there.
Yes.
That's great that your mom, with all the shit, at least paid for an apartment so that you would actually get the benefit of the schools and not force you to leave and go to a whole new school.
Correct. Senior year of high school.
So that's great.
Yep.
But you said you didn't find out. Did they not tell you that?
No, I don't think anybody ever told me.
Oh, so you were going to school.
I thought I was going to school illegally.
Oh my God.
I literally was always so scared that someone was going to find out that I didn't live in Great Neck. All senior year, I was living in the city, and part of junior. The parts of junior year, I had to take the train, the Long Island Railroad, from Penn Station to the Great Neck train station.
Oh my God.
Every day to go to school. I would be on like a 6:30 something, 7 o'clock train.
Oh my, were you dead tired? Like
So I got to and from school by the train. I would get to the Great Neck train station, take a taxi to Great Neck North, get dropped off, and I would probably tell this taxi driver to, like, drop me off not right in front of the school, but, like, down the block or something, because I was embarrassed, right? Yet another fucking thing I was embarrassed about growing up in Great Neck. And I would go to school, and senior year, I would stay a lot at friends' houses because it was so exhausting to go back and forth on the train back into the city. But when I eventually turned 17 and I got my license, my dad did get me a car. Okay. And so I was able to drive. But again, that's exhausting as well. Driving from Manhattan to Long Island every day to go to school. And there were days I was driving like high, either to and from or whatever, and I would be like, oh, I hope the people at the Throgs Neck Bridge don't see my eyes, and like,
oh, really?
You know, because I think there was a normal toll there.
Oh, right, there was no Easy Pass.
Stop.
Oh my
no,
God.
I think there was Easy Pass, but it wasn't like a keep driving kind of thing. It was like you stop, you wait for the thing to go up.
So you were driving high.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
It was like everything was so chaotic.
Yeah, it sounds like you were living in chaos. That's really what...
always living in chaos.
Okay.
That's like literally what I feel like my childhood is summed up as like, I really had a lot of chaos.
Well, the thing that you told me, we didn't even get to. The thing you told me before we started speaking was that you were a cocaine addict.
Oh, yes.
And it just... And I can't... it's... I mean, you laugh and it's funny in some ways because you're okay now, but
yes.
we're deep into the conversation... And I didn't hear about cocaine yet.
Because it didn't happen yet.
So, I mean, is there anything else I need to know? I mean, please tell me no.
I mean, no.
Okay, good.
My car won road rally, but other than that.
Please, I can't talk about road rally anymore. I had too much talk about road rally in another conversation. So
it's ridiculous. So the thing that led up to like using cocaine, I didn't use cocaine until the summer after senior year when everyone was going into college. But I started sniffing Adderall.
In senior year?
In senior year,
because you were just really... you wanted to be focused on learning. And you just figured that was the easiest and quickest way to do it.
That was it, right. Don't even take it orally, just sniff it, and you'll be able to focus and get straight A's.
You're the only person I could laugh about sniffing Adderall with because it's the funniest part of this conversation.
I know.
It's the only part that doesn't make me cry.
I know. Oh my God. Okay. If you started crying, I'd be like, oh my God, I have to go into therapist mode now and fucking
That's it.
Deal with this.
All right, so you're sniffing Adderall as a senior.
Yes. And
why?
And
why were you sniffing Adderall? Oh, okay.
It was definitely not to concentrate, that's for sure, because I also don't have ADD. Okay. And so I don't need Adderall to concentrate.
Got it.
I can naturally concentrate. But one is I always had body image issues, which is a super common theme in Great Neck and probably Long Island in general, and probably, anywhere where money is a huge part of like people's
that comes
lives.
Up a lot. Okay.
But I definitely had body image issues, and I like really wanted to be skinny, and Adderall is very much known for suppressing your appetite, and so
you wanted to
I
lose
wanted
weight.
to be skinny. I wanted to lose weight. Yep, because I was smoking so often.
And you were eating a lot. Oh,
yep,
God.
I was eating a lot. I gained a lot of weight. Also, at that time, senior year, I was drinking all the time at dinner in the city with my dad.
Oh, so that was like almost normalized.
That was super normalized. And really what another polarizing thing for me growing up was my mom had a very strict alcohol and substance policy. Like, you don't fucking do that. And then I moved in with my dad.
God.
And oh my God, I like don't want anything to happen to my dad. My dad's not a bad person, but I would have like wine with dinner every night, mojitos, caipirinhas, prosecco. He would buy me Mike's Hard Lemonade. He would buy me Bailey's Irish Cream and mudslides. And it was like two complete opposite worlds that I was living in. My mom's world of absolutely not. There's like this is a no tolerance policy.
Right.
And in my dad's house, it was like, whatever.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about not wanting to be in your mom's house and wanting to be with your dad's. I mean, if I can criticize your mom for marrying this guy you didn't like, I can criticize your dad for inappropriately giving you this lifestyle that any kid would want, but no kid should have.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, my dad was super lax, and I don't know if it was because he felt like he needed to make up for time.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure
this fun one, but
it was okay.
It was just really different,
and it was bad.
It was bad.
Okay, so of course you wanted to be with your dad. Now that's also making more sense.
Of course,
you hated your mom.
Of course.
Okay,
right.
so that's all part of it.
Yep.
So okay, so you had that feeling. You had the dichotomy of the homes, but now you were living with your dad. So you started sniffing Adderall.
Yep, started sniffing Adderall, which is like a straight up stimulant, which is like slightly less than cocaine.
Oh, I see. I don't know.
Basically, what it is.
Did you get thin?
No, I was still smoking.
Okay, so you're still smoking, drinking, and eating a lot.
Like munchies eating.
No, yes. I know. I don't.
Yes.
I'm just saying. You mentioned smoking, so when I think of smoking weed, I think of okay, I'm hungry now.
Absolutely.
So I want to eat more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you weren't losing weight.
I was not losing weight. No.
But you still did the Adderall?
Yeah.
Because why not?
Why the fuck not?
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
At that point, I kind of had this, like, I don't really give a shit policy in my life. Like, everything felt so chaotic that I didn't even care. I mean, like, I certainly in senior year of high school contemplated suicide at a few occasions. On a few occasions.
What is it?
When I lived in the city with my dad, we lived on the 9th floor, and I slept because my little brother was obviously born.
Oh, right. I forgot about the little guy.
He slept in, that was a 2-bedroom apartment. My dad and my stepmom obviously had their bedroom. My little brother had the other bedroom, and when I moved in, I slept on the couch. And I slept on the couch in the living room, and we had a balcony, which was also like, it just felt like I never belonged there either because I was
sleeping on
a couch and like living out of a fucking suitcase. Trying to like get to high school every day.
Oh my God.
And we lived on the 9th floor, like I said, and where the couch was in the living room, we had a balcony. And I used to look outside on that balcony, and the amount of times that it went through my head, like, who would miss me? Or like, who would come to my funeral if I did this? Or like, would people be better off if I weren't here? Went through my head pretty often. And I think about that a lot, that like that was such a moment of like my darkest moments. And that happened before I even started doing harder drugs. And it's really sad. I mean, thank freaking God.
I have like the chills. Like I feel, I mean, that's like,
yeah.
You know, everything else we can joke about that.
Yeah.
The fact that, you know, feeling, you know, suicidal at times when you're angry, whatever. But the fact that you would, I'm visualizing you in a New York City apartment with your dad and your stepmom in one room, your little brother who's probably living this like calm, great, non-chaotic life.
Yeah, he was a baby.
And then here's you, this troubled kid who doesn't feel welcome in her own home, is living with her dad, but living on the couch. And then that alone is very sad.
Yeah.
But then thinking of you looking at that image is very troubling.
Yeah.
It's very...
It was really sad, and that image like very much has stuck with me. Like obviously I don't feel that way now, but at that point I was like, would anybody even care?
When you think about that now,
yeah.
What is that? Does that make you sad saying this?
It does. It does make me sad. I mean, without a doubt, it makes me sad, you know, but also it's just again like another part of my story and another reason I'm like super grateful that I'm like here, you know?
That sounds like rock bottom, actually.
And it wasn't. Okay. Which is really sad.
Yeah, I mean, that's because that visual is going to haunt me, actually. No, it's okay. I mean,
no. Do EMDR on you.
No, but you're in a good place now, so it's
of course.
Okay. But, you know, I just think as a parent, if my kid ever felt that sad, I don't know how I would be able to handle it.
I mean, it's really, really sad, but it's also like very much the reality.
No, I'm glad you're saying it because I don't think you're alone either, sadly.
No, absolutely.
I mean, you see kids commit suicide, you know, and I don't know if this is even an appropriate question, but why didn't you go forward and jump off the, you know?
I just don't think like I actually had that much desire to die. There's a huge difference when it comes to like suicidal thoughts and being actively suicidal, right? Yes, even though I thought maybe it would be a good idea to jump off this balcony, I didn't actually I wanted all of the pain that I was experiencing to end. And a lot of times that's really when people say like, I'm feeling like I just want this all to end. They're not necessarily actively saying, I'm going to go, I have a plan and an intent to go on this balcony and do it. It's just, this was another reason I cut myself, because I just wanted all of the pain that I was experiencing to fucking end. It wasn't necessarily I wanted to end my life, but I felt like nothing necessarily would have fixed it. But I just didn't have enough intent to do it. Thank God.
No, thank God. And the best part of that story is that the worst part is there's a bottom even lower than that. But the best part of that story is you didn't do it.
Yeah.
But you could have.
Yep.
And you didn't do it, and you could look back as a confident young woman who's happy and think, thank God I didn't do it.
Thank God. Thank God I didn't do it. Yeah. There are a lot of thank God moments in my story that I'm like, oh my freaking God, thank God I didn't do that, or this didn't happen, or the worst of this didn't happen.
Did you ever go outside at that moment? Like, did you ever walk out to the balcony?
No. You don't do that. Thank God.
So I didn't think I'd ever ask this, but from the lowest moment there, how does it get lower?
It gets a little different.
Okay.
Lower, right? So like, yes, that could be for sure seen as like someone's lowest possible point, but like, I was feeling really excited to go off to college. Not for the academic reasons.
To
almost restart my life.
Restart your life.
Nobody knew, like, all the shit that had happened, you know, all the years prior. Like, I felt like I could go and restart my whole life. But, like, wherever we go, we take ourselves with us.
Yeah.
And I took myself with me to the University of Buffalo.
Wait, but before you go to Buffalo, you said the summer going into Buffalo, you started snorting cocaine.
Yep.
How does a person go from, I get the chaotic life and the chaos, but how does one get to cocaine? That's not like weed or alcohol.
No, but it is like Adderall.
No, but Adderall is also, you know, kids...
It's an amphetamine.
No, I get it, but, you know, there's a lot of kids taking Adderall because they have attention issues in school. So it doesn't surprise me that you had access to Adderall.
Totally.
Weed is very common. Doesn't surprise me you had access to weed.
Totally.
Your dad bought you alcohol, and even if he didn't, you would have found alcohol.
Of course.
Doesn't make me surprised that you found alcohol.
No.
How do you get cocaine? Do you remember the first time you snorted cocaine?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me about it?
Oh my God, I've like literally never talked about this.
Okay.
I was in this girl's room. I'm not going to say who it was.
Okay.
But she was like my quote unquote running buddy. And
running buddy meaning you ran with her?
Yes.
Okay,
We ran marathons.
I didn't know.
No.
Is this like a drug thing?
It's a drug.
I don't know drugs. So
right.
What does that mean?
Oh my God, you're like so pure.
What does that mean?
So it's like basically the person that you like use with or like go out and get drugs with, or that's they're like your buddy. You call it your running buddy.
She did you know this person?
She lived in Great Neck too.
Oh, she went to North.
Yes. Oh. Yep.
Oh.
And she was a good friend of mine at the time, but she had, you know, she had a past history with substance use prior to like me even trying things. She was my age. And I knew that she had done cocaine before. And I was like at this point where I really wanted to try it. I knew I wanted to try it, but I was a little nervous. I knew I would love it. And I was sitting in her room with her, and we had agreed, like, this was the day we're going to do it, or the night we're going to do it. And she put it on a fucking CD, and we were, like, playing music. Literally, music, specific songs are very, very triggering for memories for me.
Yeah.
Which is very typical. In this one song called Hotel Song by Regina Spektor, like, in that song was playing the first time I sniffed coke. And that song for years, I mean, I've been clean now for 13 and a half years, but that song only like the last 2 years has not been triggering for me.
Oh my God.
And remind me of that memory. So that memory is like very specific for me of sitting on the floor of her bedroom. We Googled like potential side effects if I were to be allergic to cocaine. Like a lot of like thought went into it, sadly.
Wow.
But we just did it. And I knew the moment I did it, I was like, this is fucking exactly what I've been looking for my whole life.
Oh my God.
And it was from there, immediately, I was hooked on it. Immediately. And it was like probably only a month until I was going off to UB. And when I literally remember like driving in my car to UB. My dad was in a car in front of me. I was in my car alone. My dad was in that car, and I was literally sniffing coke while I was driving.
What?
Up to UB.
Oh, so this you were...
It was like immediately I fell in love with it.
Okay.
Really bad. So when I got to UB, it was already like a major problem for me.
Oh, so you knew you were going to college and you were going to be snorting cocaine.
100%.
Oh, it wasn't like you were going to college to like start over, meaning like clean up.
No. Absolutely not. I wanted to start over in the sense of like people don't know who I am.
Oh.
But
but what kind of... That's the reputation you wanted?
I wanted to be like the party girl because I felt like the people who were like super popular were the people at like parties who were like always the center of attention. And that's how I ended up being at UB. I like for a lot of these sorority girls was like the freshmen who always had coke and like they would buy it from me. It was like a really weird situation, but very long story short with that, which is really not that long because I was only at UB for one semester.
Because of the cocaine?
Yes.
Oh. I want to...
I know it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So did anyone know? I mean, you said you were snorting cocaine on the ride. Another visual that I have now that I can't get out of my head.
We'll get it out at some point.
You're driving to college in your car. Your dad's in front of your car, in his own car, and you are snorting cocaine on the ride up. I mean, symbolic as well. Yeah. Your mom, what's the relationship like with mom at this point? None.
I was barely talking to her.
Okay, so you're not talking to mom.
I was barely talking to her, and I blew up at her at our high school graduation.
Oh, you did?
Which is a moment that I am very ashamed of. Still
really?
To this day.
What was that?
I didn't want her to come to graduation. I had put up a huge fight about her even coming. But she was like, I really don't give two shits.
Right.
I'm coming to your fucking high school graduation. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
But I was really angry, and I'll never forget, after graduation when everyone's in that lobby area when graduation's
pictures,
over, where everyone's
pictures.
there with their families and blah blah blah, and I just blew up on my mom because I was not happy that she was there, and my dad and my stepmom, my little brother were there. I wanted to leave to go get a fake ID with my friend and go get high or something. And she was there, and I don't know what she said to me. She probably said nothing to me or congratulations, and I ripped her apart in front of all of these parents.
Oh my God.
And other students, and whether they all heard or not, I have no idea, but oh my God, it literally haunts me.
That haunts
to this day.
Really?
This
of all the things.
Truly haunts me, yes. Because of the look on my mom's face. I could literally cry thinking about this. The look on my mom's face of how sad and how mean I was to her. Literally to this day, it still makes me so upset that I did that. Because I was so mean to her, and she did absolutely nothing wrong. She was just there to congratulate me, and I was so filled with anger and rage that I just went off on her. And the visual of her face and how embarrassing that probably was, to this day, literally
I'm getting choked up. You're getting choked up.
It's still so upsetting. And I've of course I've talked to my mom about this. It's been so many years. It's 2021. We graduated in 2007. But to this day, that is the thing that truly haunts me.
Wow.
I feel terribly about that. But that was probably just another one of those things that I was fuck it. I don't give two shits about anybody. But now I look back and I have these haunting images, and I am what if this happens to me when I'm a parent? You know, I think about those things too.
I get it. Yeah, listen, I get it. Wow.
It's terrible.
The point was you're in Buffalo, your mom and you don't have a relationship, your dad drops you off, but he has you have some relationship with him, and you're doing everything's still chaotic because you're a coke addict.
So chaotic.
So what, so how did that change? What happened? What?
Yeah, so I hit my rock bottom there. So there were two things that occurred. One, my 18th birthday. My birthday is October 10th. My little brother, my half brother, my dad and my stepmom.
Yeah.
His birthday is 3 days after mine. That weekend was parents' weekend at UB.
Oh, okay.
And so my dad, my stepmom, my little brother came up. That was his third birthday. I had gone out the night before. We were supposed to do a brunch for my little brother's third birthday, and I had gone out until 9 a.m. that morning, and came back to my dorm room and was I'm only gonna sleep for 10 minutes. Up all night using
cocaine.
Yep. Slept until 7 p.m. that night. Missed my little brother's birthday, so now I had a lot of explaining to do. And then my dad realized I had used $4,000. I had taken out $4,000 worth of cash from the bank account that he gave me a debit card to, which was his immediately first mistake.
Oh,
that was a huge mistake.
Oh, so you were using the money he gave you to buy drugs.
Yeah, but I was I'm using it to pay for taxis and other things. And he was don't they have a UB campus bus? And I was no, it's not running.
Oh, wow.
Or to pay for meals or something. But it was cash that I was just using to get high. So then I had explaining to do. So then I explained it to my dad.
What'd you explain?
I was I have a cocaine problem.
Oh, you told him.
I told him, but I had no intention of stopping at that point.
Oh, really?
I just wanted to be honest because I knew I had to be.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was okay, maybe you should go to outpatient treatment. And so
was he shocked?
No. I don't think he was
okay, because he knew who you were. Not that you...
And
not,
addiction runs in our family. Like, I don't think it's that shocking. I don't know. I've never actually asked him if it was shocking for him. I don't really know.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, I feel done. Coke isn't even getting me high anymore. I don't even really want to be using it anymore. I had like a UB planner that they give like all students. And in that planner, and I still have it, and it's in my drawer at home, I would write down like, didn't use Coke today, or like, I'm not going to use today. And then I would write down like, I used today. So like, there was a huge part of me that didn't want to be doing it anymore, but felt like I absolutely had to.
Oh, so you got to a point where it wasn't even fun anymore.
No,
it was just,
wasn't.
You were a
It was
literal
like I had
addict.
no choice but to keep doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have that planner, and I look at it sometimes because it's a really strong reminder of like, that is the reality of addiction. There comes a point, at least in my story, where I was like, I don't even want to fucking do this, but I have no choice. I would separate out baggies to try and make them last longer. I would leave some in my dorm and go out, and then inevitably would have to come back and come get them. There was like a lot of things I was trying to do to avoid using and couldn't.
So how did it end?
So we ended up going to my parents. My mom and my dad agreed that I was going inpatient, and I did. They drove me. My mom, my dad, my sister, and I drove in one same car up to Pennsylvania, and I went to an inpatient rehab there, and I ended up going back home and living with my mom.
Okay.
I know.
So the actual thing that I can't stop thinking about is you talked at the very beginning of this conversation that from 4 years old, your parents didn't agree on one thing.
Nothing.
Literally
Nothing.
Zero. And there's it's not that they didn't agree. They hated each other. They created chaos for you. For them, it was terrible. But yet, the first moment in your lifetime that you could remember, the two of them agreeing where you were actually a family was driving
me
to rehab. What was that like in that car ride? Like,
I mean, it was so awkward, but I was also like hysterically crying because
you didn't want to go.
Don't make me go. Like, please don't make me go. And everyone was in agreement. You're fucking going.
Wow.
Which was bananas to me.
You get the symbolism there, though.
Of course.
Did you get better after that?
Yes. When I was at UB, I was able to put together 6 days clean.
Okay.
And so when I came back home for winter break from UB, I went to rehab. And I celebrated like my 2 weeks clean in rehab.
Oh. And you haven't used since?
I have not used since December 6, 2007.
Wow. So so not only
not alcohol or drugs.
You don't do anything?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, completely clean.
What? No, that is crazy to me that this family dynamic created such a terrible situation for you.
Yeah.
And I think about the family because I'm in a family.
Of course.
And then, like I said, the first moment of your life that felt normal, even though you didn't want to go and you were miserable, was the moment you go to rehab.
Yeah.
And that actually turned out to be the time where you actually started your life in a normal way.
Yes. I went to 12-step meetings, and I have been going to 12-step meetings all 13 and a half years that I have been clean.
Wow.
And my mom and my stepdad actually went to like 12-step meetings specifically for like loved ones for the first 2 years of my recovery, actually. And I went to a psychiatrist. I went to therapy. You
stopped school for a little bit.
Yes, I stopped school. I didn't go back to school for 2 years.
Wow.
Actually.
Okay. You were just working on
I was working on
clean.
on getting clean, but I also still had this concept of like, I'm so dumb kind of thing. And graduated from Malloy with like a 3.7 GPA. Fucking killed it there. Ended up going to NYU for my master's. Graduated there with 3.9. So all of this like, I'm stupid thing obviously was proved wrong.
So, okay. So that's great that you ended up there. And I know you're doing social work now.
Totally.
That's your life.
Yep.
You said multiple times here that thank God for those moments because they led to where you are now. Do you really feel that way? Like, do you feel like if you can go back to any moment in time, you really wouldn't change anything? You wouldn't...
If I could change the way that I treated my mom, I would.
Oh, okay.
However, the way that our relationship has been is the reason why our relationship now is, number one, so precious to me, and number two, is so close. We are so close.
Wow, that's unbelievable to hear that. I mean,
we are like best. I literally, my mom is my biggest role model.
Wow.
She is my biggest freaking cheerleader, number one. She is literally the best person in my life.
Is she going to hear this and be upset about what you said?
I don't know. I'm actually very nervous about that, to be honest.
Yeah. But
very nervous.
The reason you're okay with it is because it's hoping...
the truth.
It's the truth, and there are people dealing with bad situations with their family, mom and or dad, for whatever reason.
Of course.
And the thing about this story that's so great, with all the terribleness, is that you could sit here and say how happy you are to have a great relationship with your mom.
Absolutely. It's like that relationship with my mom and the relationship that I now have with my dad are so important to me.
Okay, so I guess the question is, if you can go back to a kid struggling with... Because, again, there's so much here. What is the message then? There's no way to go back to any one moment.
Totally.
But go back to a kid that is unhappy in their life.
Yep.
What is the message as a experienced social worker,
Yep.
but also not just experienced social worker, an experienced
human
person in life who had to deal with so much tragedy?
That things can get better.
That's it.
That's like the message, that things can get better, right? Feelings don't last forever. They may feel like they're going to last forever, but they don't. Experiences can change. Perspectives can change. People grow. You grow. There's help out there. Ask for it.
Yeah.
Yes, certain situations don't necessarily change, but the way that we perceive them or the way that we deal with them do change. I mean, I have it tattooed on me that there's always hope.
Oh, your tattoos.
We
didn't talk about your tattoos.
We don't need to talk about
that. No, I want to
that.
talk a little bit about that. Because there must be some symbolism to your tattoos.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, I have a lot of quotes tattooed on me that are like very meaningful for me. So like, there's always hope is tattooed on me because I very strongly believe that's
probably the message you would give to anyone.
Absolutely.
There is always hope is probably, like, if you can go back to yourself at any moment in time,
I would have said that.
That would be the message.
Absolutely.
So I don't have to ask you that.
Of course, absolutely. And granted, in the moment, you don't necessarily feel like that. But
right.
Hearing it from someone else, sometimes it doesn't sink in.
Right.
But other times it does. And that's the reality.
Yeah.
I just got a lotus tattooed on my thigh. Lotus flowers grow in mud. Did you know that?
No.
They grow,
definitely not.
They grow in dirty, muddy water.
Oh.
But they emerge as these like absolutely stunning pieces of nature.
Wow.
Right? So you can be going through, you can grow through all of the shit that goes on in your life and come out on a side that's like even more fucking beautiful.
Wow.
Right? Not physically beautiful, but like emotionally, spiritually, mentally beautiful.
And that's where you are right now.
Absolutely.
After all the muddiness of your life.
All the muddiness of that.
Because, when I first called you, back in almost a year ago, actually, because this podcast really started a year ago, almost. High School Matters was not even the name of the podcast.
Totally.
And now, we could talk about, for you, it's high school mattered,
right,
for sure, but your life mattered.
Yes.
And all the mud that you dealt with mattered.
Yeah.
And you even said, like I said multiple times, that you needed that mud to build this lotus that you are, this person that you are.
Absolutely.
Normally I like to tie it up at the end with some kind of like moment that kind of clarifies it, but for you, it's really, there is hope.
There's hope.
That is the message.
Absolutely.
And you are living, breathing proof of that message.
Yes. And that everything, we're all on a journey. There's no ending point, right? Just because I have, X amount of time clean and I'm in this really great place doesn't mean the growing stops, doesn't mean the journey stops. There's still work to be done every day because that's how humans are. We evolve. We go through things. Things are going to come up, but there's always growth to be done, right? The growing doesn't stop.
Right.
What
about that song? If you heard that song that you listened to?
I have heard it. And over the past couple of years, it's no longer triggering. There's a couple of songs that are no longer triggering for me either because I've created different, more positive experiences that go along with it. So now the past ones don't really come into play anymore.
What's the name of the song?
It's called Hotel Song by Regina Spektor.
I wonder if I know the song. I'm going to listen to it when you leave.
Well,
I want to listen to it. I'm not going to snort cocaine after
please
I listen
don't.
to it.
Yes.
But I want to listen to it.
You'll listen to it and you'll realize why that was the song that ended up happening to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
I
this was not, I knew we'd talk about some heavy stuff. I didn't know, frankly, we talk about all this.
Of course.
How could
I
anyone
didn't
know?
either.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this conversation.
It's intense.
I have a headache. No, I genuinely do. When I feel emotions,
Yeah.
that's how I express my emotions, and
Totally.
I have a very bad headache right now.
Aw.
No, but
Should we ground?
but it's worth it because
Yeah.
I hope that people listening to this, I think you have one of the most important messages.
Thank you.
Because you don't have to be a drug addict. You don't have
Right.
to be a cutter. You don't
Right.
have to feel stupid.
Right.
You just have to feel different.
Yeah.
And everyone, I've felt in my life, and at times everyone feels that way. And
Yeah.
there's always hope.
There's always hope.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Very powerful.
Wait, before we're done,
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's one question only.
Were you planning this question?
Yes, because it never came up.
Okay. Well,
Okay. Do you remember in high school,
Okay.
well, in my high school, the car that you used to drive?
When you were my student?
Yes. It
It
was blue.
I drove an the
You
FX35.
loved it.
I did.
You loved it.
Blue
It was
FX35.
blue. I remember.
It was unique. That's what I liked about it.
Sure, whatever. Do you remember when myself and some of my friends wrote on your car in car marker?
I don't remember that.
Oh.
Did that happen?
That happened.
Really?
And you were really mad about it. 'cause
Was I
that
really?
was your prized possession. And we thought it was hysterical. You
Wow.
did not.
Well, it's funny. I remember your friends.
Okay.
I remember a lot of them. I liked you and all of your friends. I don't remember that moment because
Oh,
it's funny
you.
because I don't. Cars and stuff like that is not that important to me, honestly.
It was back then.
Was I really mad?
You were so mad.
What did I do?
I don't know. You definitely yelled at us and made us wipe it off.
Wow,
It was car marker, though. I mean, it came off.
I get it. It
was hysterical.
It sounds funny. I like that memory. I think it's important that you have memories like that. And
Totally.
and you know what I like most about it?
What?
It was a moment in high school that you were actually happy.
Mic drop. End it now.
Right? I mean, that's
It's
it.
true.
Okay.
It's really true.
Well, this was great. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for
welcome.
exposing yourself, and I hope this helps people.
I do very much hope that too.
Okay, good.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Come into my world, I've got to show you a little bag of cocaine, a little bag of cocaine. So who's the girl wearing the dress? I figured out a number on a paper napkin, but I don't know her address. Come into my world, I've got to show you. Come into my bed, I've got to know you. I have dreams of
If you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction or any other mental health issues, please know that there is help. Please call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration at 1-800-662-4357. Also, if you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, please call the 24-hour National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. I really want to thank Jen for such an open, honest, and really inspiring conversation about some really heavy topics.
So who's the girl wearing the dress? I figured out a number on a paper napkin, but I don't know her address. Come in.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and tell all of your friends to rate and review it too. Every positive review helps new listeners find the show, so spread the word and subscribe. I want to see those 5 stars. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, send me a DM at hsmatterspod, or you can send me an email the old-fashioned way at hsmatterspod@gmail.com. Also, follow us on social media at the handle hsmatterspod for weekly updates on the podcast, for pictures of me and guests, for pictures of guests from high school, and any other information about the show. High School Matters was created, produced, and edited by yours truly, your host, Randy Appel. Consulting producers are John Fuss and David Friedman. Sound consultant is Peter Lennox. Our music is written and performed by me and is produced by Lee Tepper. High School Matters is, and always has been, a Bellston production. 88766 signing off. I hope everyone learned something and enjoyed.